Hi everybody, welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show. I'm Deborah Prinzing. We're filming in my dining room today. I get to do a live interview with my guest instead of being online, which is really a treat. And I'm delighted to introduce Cassie Plummer of Jig-Bee Flower Farm. Hi Cassie.
Hi Deborah, it's so great to be here.
It's great to have you here. We were just talking about the fact that I thought you had been a guest on the podcast. And you reminded me that you hadn't, so I'm glad we're finally doing this.
It's great.
We've done some editorial together.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I first met you before COVID at Philadelphia Flower Show, and you reached out and told me a bunch of flower farmers were going to get together. I think we went and had lunch or something.
Yep. Yeah.
And that, were you exhibiting at the Philadelphia?
I was doing a demonstration, like a hands-on demonstration on floral arranging, and so it was kind of a all-in-one.
Get people to know who you were, because Jig-Bee Flower Farm started in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us where you are now, and what is Jig-Bee Flower Farm now? Because you've kind of transformed the business.
Sure.
I was going to say rebranded, but I guess the name is still there.
Just pivoted. We started in 2015 and in Philadelphia, but in 2022 we moved to Vermont for family and just sort of a slower pace of life, and so I've been rebuilding the farm in Vermont, in Corinth, Vermont. It's out in the Upper Valley on the eastern border of Vermont and New Hampshire, and I'm currently doing seed production and fresh flower sales into the wholesale market. So we've connected to a wholesale market in Brooklyn, the flower aggregate, and then we also work with the Forage, which is a florist-driven wholesale delivery service and distribution service out of Woodstock, New Hampshire. Yeah.
So how far are you from Woodstock and how far are you from Brooklyn? This is really enterprising what you're doing.
Well, the brilliant thing is I don't leave my farm.
That's a secret sauce everyone wants to know.
Yeah. So both of those companies have devised a way to connect with farmers. So the Forage is about an hour away from us, and they send a delivery truck to farms throughout New Hampshire and Vermont. And then the flower aggregate in Brooklyn, there's a delivery distribution regional farm trucking service that drives all over Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, and they pick up all veggies, produce, and so that's a pretty awesome service, and it's door-to-door refrigerated, and I ship it in water in buckets, and so it's a really, really brilliant thing. I wasn't planning to do wholesale because I didn't want to be driving all over Vermont.
You moved to Vermont for a slower pace, so that you're not being in the car, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, really great that I found these two outlets that were fit into what I wanted to do.
Yeah, so I've kind of heard about both of them, but I feel like that they are relatively new on the scene, and we need more information. So tell them we need to talk. Both of those are wholesale channels for you then. Mm-hmm. Are you selling direct in the Corinth area to local folks, or I wasn't planning to do that, but we do have a little farm market in our town that's like 2 doors from my house. So there's a theme here. It's like everything is close. hyper local. Yeah.
And so I've done a little bit of pop-up work there, where I've done Mother's Day last year. We did a flower bar where we had the kids come and pick out flowers and make bouquets, and and then I wasn't really planning to do bouquets, but this year I'm shifting to do a weekly bouquet there and sell it at the market.
Is it? Yeah. What's the population of Corinth?
Like 1,200.
Okay.
So it's not going to be. It's more connecting with the community,
right,
and just like visibly putting our flowers out there and bringing joy. And,
Well, I want to talk about all the other things you're doing, but just for a sec, let's talk about 2022, middle of COVID. And all I heard was that you were moving to Vermont and closing down your farm operations for good. But that wasn't really accurate. You just had an opportunity to go, move your whole operation to a land in your family?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it was we were really fortunate. My mom wanted to move and downsize her house. She lives in Maine, and she didn't want to live by herself, and so we made the decision to like move together. And
Wow.
we ended up selecting the summer house that had been in our family for years, since my grandparents bought it in like the 60s.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar with the community.
Yeah, I was going there since in the summers,
Oh, how
and,
cool.
running around and
Oh, I love it.
yeah, going flea marketing, and my grandparents were antique dealers.
Oh,
and
my
so,
gosh.
Yeah, so it's very, just very familiar with the area. And so that was sort of the push. We also, in Philly, I was working on vacant land that I didn't own, so we lost one of the pieces of land that we were working on. So that was kind of like, we've got to shift, and we've got to rethink this. I built a really amazing business. We were doing wholesale distribution. We had a market. We had CSA. We were doing weddings and events, and I just couldn't build the business on land that wasn't secure for us.
Right.
And so,
Right.
it was really hard, and it was really hard to shut down and move all of that up with us, or just move the whole business and shift it.
Because
So.
you were in Philly as a flower farmer for what, 5 or 6 years?
Since 2015, so longer than
7 or 8 years.
longer than
Yeah,
that.
8 seasons.
Yeah.
You did some really wonderful community-centric, both farming but also floral art collaborations in Philadelphia. And I remember the story we did for Florist Review about this sort of, installations around a neighborhood, and I was so impressed with that. Like, you have this desire to collaborate and bring people together.
I really love bringing people together and supporting other farmers and florists, and just getting the flowers out there and making people love the flowers. It's been sort of a passion of mine and driver of mine.
I love that sentence though, making people love the flowers.
Well, it's not hard to. You kind of just have to put them there.
Right. But if they don't know that that's an option, especially in a big city like Philly, where people are, if they're in your neighborhood, they see what you're doing, but others are going to the grocery store.
Yeah. So that event that we did a floral crawl, and we connected with farmers and florists, and the farmers brought in product it was in October, maybe not the ideal month, but it was the most productive month for us, and cooler, so the flowers could be more stable in a long-term, week-long
Really good point. Yeah.
And we matched them with local businesses, and so the florists were assigned to a business, and they would do an installation, and then we had a kickoff party, and walk the tour, and the florists could talk about their work, and we talked about the farmers, and so it was a really awesome way to get flowers, people more familiar with local flowers, and also connect florists with farmers as well. So.
Yeah, you created an event that was visually exciting and looped in other, kind of like-minded businesses, so then you have content to share.
Sure, yeah.
We got to do a story. Did you do that 2 years in a row?
We did it 3 years.
Okay,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
And then,
Cassie.
Yeah.
And then you left town and it
Yeah,
fell
well,
apart.
it was COVID. COVID kind of interrupted the whole thing, so.
I used to run the Queen Anne Magnolia Garden Tour back in from 2005 to 2010 or something like that, maybe even before that. But it was for my alumni association. My college was in a neighborhood called Queen Anne. And the minute I moved to California, it fell apart. And then we were gone for 4 years. And as soon as I came back, they were like, hey, do you want to start that up again? I'm like, no one did it while I was gone. I don't want to do all the work. So I admire you for moving on and doing cool things. And I just want to ask you about that. So the vacant land, you had some gardening at your home, right? And
No, so
you didn't have
we
anything.
owned a warehouse that my husband operated his business out of, and next door to that was a vacant lot that the city owned. And that was sort of my origin story.
That's how you started flower farming.
Yeah, so
I
we
didn't
were
realize
trying to
that.
figure out what could we do with this land that it's commercially zoned, what could, we had potentially an opportunity to purchase it, but we needed a business plan, and so we were throwing around a lot of ideas, and I came across the Slow Flower podcast, which is how I sort of got into flowers. So.
Well, it's so fitting. It's so fitting that we have you today. I can't believe that. Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, it was more of an industrial area, so I didn't want to grow vegetables on it, but I was like, oh, flowers can work in this, and it's, we have infrastructure with the building next door, but so that's where we started.
Like water and
water
parking.
and like a studio space and storage and
because you did a lot of design work from the beginning.
And storage of tools. That's kind of a big thing in the city, is like you have to have secure storage for all your tools, because that they can walk away pretty easily.
In total at its peak, how much land were you able to farm on then,
About
Cassie?
half acre.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
You can do a lot in a lot of tiny spaces.
Okay, so transport that to Vermont. What is your growing area? I mean, you might have more land than what you grow on, but what's the setup there?
So we have about 8.5 acres, but it's mostly wooded. So we're putting in a lot of hellebores in the wooded perimeter, and right now I only have about 1/8 of an acre that I'm farming, but I've also partnered with the vegetable farm that owns that little market, Cross Molina Farm, and so I'm doing pollinator strips on their land, and there are different veggie blocks to help pollination with their vegetables and things, but it also gives me isolation for my seed production. That is the other aspect of the business. So.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that. First, I have to compliment you on your phenomenal newsletter. I read every issue. Are you doing it every week?
Yep.
Okay, and it's sort of telling the story of this transformation of Jig-Bee Flower Farm, and bringing people along to educate them about seed production. Is it seed production or seed breeding or both?
All the things. I'm basically just talking about whatever I'm working on that week, or whatever I'm thinking about. I think I'm trying to do this seed production side of things, the insight on the breeding, just so people understand everything that goes into getting the seed to the customer. And I know there's a big interest in people saving their own seeds as well, so I want people to be confident to do that on their own if they want to do that. So.
Is this new, or were you able to do some of that back in Philadelphia?
Well, I have been saving seeds for several years, but never had the time or the organization to actually clean them and start growing them out. I've been saving seeds that I thought were cool, from varieties that were cool, that different colors that I liked, and so that it started with this lavender scabiosa that I found in my field.
Wow.
That and a mauve color coreopsis that I isolated and saved. And
oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So the lavender scabiosa and the mauve coreopsis were naturally occurring crosses, or you just they weren't seeds you purchased and started growing?
Right. So the scabiosa was blue cockade, and it was just a pale lavender in that was growing in that patch, that section of the field. And I was like, ooh, that's a really cool color. And so I just bagged it and put a tag on it, and saved it. And
so what stage was it at? It already had bloomed. You weren't going to cut it for a bouquet because it drew you in.
Right.
And is it a mesh bag? Or?
Yeah, the organza bags. You see people put them on dahlias to protect them from pests and things like that. But I let the bloom out before I put the bag on, because I wanted pollination to happen. If you put the bag on, you can you prevent insects and things from pollinating. And so I tagged the plant, and then I put the bag on just so I wouldn't cut it, and so I knew to save it.
And then the pollination then helps it produce seeds.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then so it's an annual scabiosa, not a perennial scabiosa.
Right.
Okay. And then the coreopsis, same kind of deal. The mauve sounds gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. That was a mix called Florist Tall, Coreopsis Florist Tall, or Coreopsis Incredible Florist Mix, or something like that. And so it's just a mix of the yellows and the white and burgundies, and then there's this mauve burgundy color in there.
Wow.
And I just took that one, tagged that one as well, and saved that one out. So
how did you know to do this? Had you just done enough reading and about, how to collect seeds or how to isolate varieties? Because that seems to be the trick, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I knew that you could save seeds.
Yes.
So
you've been doing that.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. But that year I actually had a farm manager with me that had done training with True Love Seeds and had some experience with tagging and isolating seeds. And so she shared a lot of information with me, and we talked a lot about how we could, bring flowers, that we see in the field and share them.
Yeah, I mean, farmer tested. I mean, that's so that is what you're doing now in terms of sharing knowledge and I'll put the link in our show notes at slowflowerspodcast.com so you can subscribe to Cassie's newsletter and just read along because like you said, you're just sharing what you're doing.
Right.
But you're giving a lot of technical information that I've noticed that it's just like, here's what I'm doing, here's how you have to plan, how to have the record keep, and that what can you expect? Because you're still small batch, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest thing that I'm learning right now is the seed cleaning and how to identify viable seeds and how to clean the chaff off the seeds, and so that's the part that I've had trouble finding information about, and sort of when is the best time to harvest the seed heads, and kind of what you can expect for germination rates and things like that. So
and maybe that wouldn't matter so much if you were just harvesting for your own next season, going to you've started selling, right?
Yeah, I just launched a seed sale last week, so yeah.
I saw that. How long is that going on?
I'm going to be open year round.
Okay.
So I want to be a seed, a seed store for everybody that's available whenever you need seeds. So.
Oh, great. So if this airs in a couple weeks and someone hears it, they can check out your inventory and see. Are you selling anything besides the Scabiosa and the Coreopsis?
No, I have like 20 varieties that I harvested this year and I'm selling. Yeah.
Oh, Cassie, congratulations.
Yeah.
I love the diversification and also kind of the future investment. Like, okay, this is going to help somebody else with passing on.
Yeah.
You've already vetted these flowers. You've done all that work. They know that there's a viable new variety, or maybe they're not all new. Some of them are,
some of them are standards. They're the ones I tried and true florist varieties that I know are productive, put off a lot of stems, like, between 5 and 10 stems per plant. So like if you're a flower farmer or even a florist and you want to, you have limited space and you're trying to maximize your space, these are flowers and varieties that can help you maximize your space. And that's what I've been doing for 10 years is trying to get as much production out of a small space. So
yeah, it's a unique point of view because some people are, have endless acreage, especially if it's a multi-generational farm or, they have access to land that maybe was producing vegetables and now they're adding flowers. But not everybody has that luxury, and so you're thinking about the 1/8 acre, 1/4 acre farm. Right. I love that. So when we took a break, I was asking you if you were doing any more farmer florist work, and you said no. But I feel like the artistry is in the seed selection now. Like that, there's a lot of creativity that you have to bring to that, those choices about colors and varieties.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. I mean, I think that's one thing I love about flowers is the color, like just working with all the colors, and that's also been sort of what I've been trying to deliver to florists and all of the work that I've done between design work and serving florists. So
it's a good point. Like you're thinking about their needs, and so you're growing colors that that the florist industry wants.
Right. So yeah, and I haven't done a lot of like specific breeding and crossing. A lot of what I do is just selection. Like I'll start with a mix of something and I'll pick out the colors that I like the best. And, I think that's my entry into the breeding and selecting work. And
and it's so interesting. That makes me think of two things I want to ask you about. One is that a lot of flowers are sold as mixes. Why is that?
Oh, I think it's just because it's easier to for isolation. You don't have to worry about isolation as much. So
okay, and then that the follow-on question to that is back to your pollinator borders that you're growing over at the vegetable farm. You said something about isolation, like that was a good way for you to grow away from your other flowers.
Right. So for most flowers, they require a separation of 1/4 mile.
Really?
To ensure that you aren't having cross-pollination from insects, butterflies, bees, flies, whatever. So you have to be really careful if you're doing this for sale to the public, that you have isolation set up. So some people do it by distance, you can do it by time, you can do it by structure, like physical barriers.
Like in a high tunnel or something.
Yeah, high tunnel or like trees. So where my property is surrounded by trees, so I don't really worry too much about my neighbors having, like say I'm growing zinnias or cosmos, I don't really worry too much about them having cosmos that would cross because we're surrounded by trees. And so that's a physical barrier that the bees aren't really going to be.
They're not going to cut through the woods.
Yeah, exactly.
You have your own bee colony.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So
that's so interesting. And then do you have to do that organza bag on even when you're in an isolated area? Are you bagging every flower?
No, that was more just a signal to me that that's something I want to save. Or if it's within in my mauve coreopsis, which I call coreopsis romance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you get to name these.
Yeah, that's the fun part too.
I love it.
So in that patch last summer, there was one that was pinwheeled, and that had it was the mauve colored, and then the petals were pinwheeled, folded over with a yellowy color, like a pale yellow color.
Wow.
So I organza bagged that one so that there wasn't a lot of cross-pollination.
So that's the next iteration.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. So the pinwheel is to be maybe come into the market in a couple of years?
Right.
Because you want to get a certain succession of making sure that is true to color or whatever.
True to color and form. Usually it takes 3 to 5 years, sometimes longer depending on what flower you're working with, to get basically stable genetics so there's not as much variation or any variation. So.
And this is your forever farm now. Hopefully you'll be able to just really invest in this project, this seed project.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. Vermont's wonderful, and I don't envision moving anywhere.
Is your mother helping you at all, or is she retired?
She's retired. She's into gardening as well, and so she helps to weed and helps me plant out and stuff like that. And we're doing a lot of landscaping too. So that's kind of the fun part too. We're doing some perennial landscaping that produces seeds, so that I can collect those seeds as well.
So Cassie, do you think that eventually when this builds up to where you want it to be, half of your business will be selling wholesale to, Woodstock and Brooklyn, and the other half will be the seed business?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. It's diversification.
Yeah.
And I think more than ever, just within food, I know we hear a lot in the food industry about people wanting to support small-scale seed producers in their region. It seems like the parallel in flowers
Sure.
is beneficial, although you are selling nationally, right?
You
could mail the seeds to me.
Definitely.
Oh, not your flowers necessarily.
Yeah.
You're only tri-state.
I think that's also another interesting thing about seeds is that there's you see it a lot in vegetables, the term regionally adapted, and so that means the seed has grown in your region and might be more resilient and more suited for your land or your environment. So, I hope we see that more with flowers, and I think we will as more people get into seed production. And it doesn't mean that you can't buy my seeds and plant them here in Washington, but you may have, you may have better luck in Vermont with Vermont seeds.
Or plant your seeds and then start your own little selection program, and because you probably want that feedback from people.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I want people to have fun with it. It's just a fun, it's fun to see from planting the seed to cutting the flower, and then it's leaving some to go to seed and then harvesting the seed and using it again the next year.
That's interesting. It makes me think of when we were doing a focus on some of the trials that farms were doing with native perennials for the floral trade. There was the discussion of like you can leave a third unharvested for your pollinators, but also just kind of is getting that crop established on your farm as sort of a regenerative act. So I can see that. So now you're mainly doing annuals, but you might do perennials in the future?
We're adding some perennials here and there, I want to say one thing about being able to leave the flowers. I think as a farmer, that's like, you're always like cut, and like you often harvest before it even opens. So being able to let some things go to, just open and bloom out is really enjoyable and just like really wonderful. Like one thing I love about poppy pods is that I get to see the whole stretch of the block bloom, and then the pods form, and that's the part you cut for florist sales, or you wait and save the seeds later. So it's just it's fun to be able to enjoy the flowers, and as the farmer too. So
that's such a good point, Cassie. I remember when we photographed the cover of the 50 Mile Bouquet. It was photographed at Jellimal Farm. Diane Sukavati, who you met the other day at the Slow Flower Sunday event, she was saying that normally when you go to a flower farm, you would not see these rows and rows of prolific blooming flowers.
Right.
But it was shot, I think, in like 2008 or 9, where the economy had just tanked, and that just flower farmers that was sort of a new category of agriculture here in the Northwest, and she wasn't able to move a lot of flowers, and so lucky for the photographer, there were flowers in that field to shoot.
Sure.
But normally you don't, like you said, you normally can't sit and enjoy the flowers of your labor.
right. Yeah, so seed production allows me to do that, and it's
I love that. I love that so much. So you are out here in Seattle. Why did you leave Vermont and come to Seattle this week? I'm so glad it worked out, because you reached out and said, is there anything going on in Seattle? And I was like, the Northwest Flower Garden Festival. And we had our Slow Flower Sunday event on the 23rd, which is kind of like a half-day summit.
It was wonderful. Oh my gosh. Everyone was so nice, and it was just really great to be in a room of inspiring people and like just hear what everyone's working on. So
I was so glad you
organizing
came.
that. It was really
It was
wonderful.
kind of something for everyone, because there was the farming component, the creative design component, and then with Lori Polisky, and then Quinn Wynn, the paper floral artist, is just like pure beauty and fun for the flower lovers who aren't going to become farmers or florists. So
right. Well, I think she also had such good insight on marketing and building up your brand and launching a business. So it was like whatever, wherever you're coming from, you could take from what you needed from that.
I think people got that from everyone. That's great. So you came out to Seattle for a few days, and now you're heading off to Oregon, and what are you going to be doing?
Oh, I'm doing or attending the Organic Seed Alliance conference, which is in Corvallis.
Oregon State University.
Oregon State University. My niece goes to University of Oregon, so I was getting that confused. So I'm also going to be visiting her.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So the Organic Seed Alliance, this is a conference that happens annually?
I believe it's every other year.
Okay, great.
But it's a really awesome organization if you are interested in seed production or seed saving. They have a lot of online resources. A lot of past conferences are taped and either recorded or video recorded. And they also occasionally offer like a seed grower school that you can attend. And I was actually lucky to be selected for that in 2023, so I participated in grower school.
Kind of when you were just thinking about launching this.
Just starting, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you, do you have any sense of how many flower people will be there? Is it mostly edible?
I think it's mostly vegetable growers, although a lot of seed producers do grow flowers too.
Yes.
So I don't think there'll be flower growers there, but not specifically flower farmers,
It's great that you're going though.
Yeah.
Make a lot of connections.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. There's not a lot of information about flowers and seed production, like yields or how to clean or just the challenges.
Right.
So I'm hoping to network with a lot of people and sort of make some connections where I can, reach out to people when I'm having trouble with different varieties.
I mean, it might be a Cassie Plummer in another region. You just haven't met each other.
I hope so. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm looking forward to reading your newsletter when you report on that.
Yeah. It's a very similar feeling. Like the seed community is very similar to the flower community, where everyone's really supportive and sharing, and so I'm excited to get connected with that too.
We all geek out about the same things.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I hope it's really successful for you, and I'm so glad that you made your trip through Seattle on your way there so we could record this.
Yeah, it's been great.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say that don't be afraid of saving seeds, and don't be it's pretty simple. Just go out there and collect the seeds, and you don't, if you're using it for your own use, it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. It doesn't have to be perfectly isolated.
That's true.
Yeah, you just go out there and collect them.
I mean, that's what they did, right? Back in the day, our ancestors were
right.
They didn't have online catalogs to go like that.
Exactly.
They collected seeds.
And cross-pollination might happen, and you might find something really awesome. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Cassie, thanks so much. This has been really fun.
You're welcome. It's been great. Thank you.
Will you share some photos of some of these flowers you've discussed?
Definitely.
All right,
Definitely.
So we can see that mauve and that lavender. All right, that sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.